welcome back. We are doing this week season 2, episode 7. It is called The Other 48 Days. It's a Backenders episode, and it's a Derek episode, and it is the first ever episode that does not have intermittent flashbacks because the entire thing is a flashback. Everybody get excited.
Ooh.
You fuckers.
Wow. What? Wait, was that not excited? Woo. My excited face.
All right. Who wants to hear a joke?
Oh, I do.
I do.
Yes.
Imagine if Americans switched from pounds to kilograms. There would be mass confusion.
That's good. That's good.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Last week, the brother fucker took it in the gut. But before that, in her flashback, she and her friend are discussing an offer to be an au pair. Ben wonders what that is. He had never really heard the term before. We kind of explained it as best we could, but I looked it up and I got a little more information on the term and the history of how that came about. Obviously, it's a French term. It means at par or equal to. And it was used very specifically to say that the person who was living in your house and taking care of your children was to be thought of and treated as a member of your family, as opposed to a live-in servant. And so that is the reason those words were chosen. It became popular in Europe after World War II. What happened was, after the war, the kind of plentiful domestic servants that had been in Europe before, were there no more children of like middle to upper class families, no longer had like the same status, but there were women who were being more independent and seeking education. And the one thing with an au pair is that it typically should be you are living abroad. And so young women started going to Europe or to different places in Europe and living with families, learning their language, teaching their children or taking care of the children. And then it just sort of took off from there. And so that is where the actual word came from. So I thought I'd tell you.
It's interesting.
Is it? Cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean it. All right. Coming up this week, actually right now, Ben and I, no, we're home from our trip. I forgot what we were doing. I thought I was still on
It was
my boat.
awesome.
I thought I was still on my boat in Amsterdam. Yes. Trip's great. All right, listen. This week we relived the first 48 days from the backenders position. Myself up. And I also do something a little bit special. I go back and we have 2 kind of separate timelines as Derek gives us what happens on whichever days the show writers put in there for the backenders. I give us a little bit of information and we sort of relive the original's journey alongside the backenders. So we know what was happening at the same time. Christy is choking out.
Sorry, that one was a little bigger than I meant it to be.
Like an amateur hour, everybody.
Oh my God. Okay. This week, we relive the Oceanic Flight 815 crash from the backenders' perspective. Some of the characters immediately divulge what their identity is, occupation, other details. Some kind of play it a little closer to the vest, and they keep quiet. If you had crashed and found yourself in a survival situation, what kind of person would you be in the beginning? Ben?
I don't think I'd say much about myself because most of it probably wouldn't be legitimate. Like most of it wouldn't be important. Like, oh, what did I do?
Useful?
Yeah, it wouldn't
like
be
survival.
Yeah.
Unless you were a cobbler.
Yeah, unless I was a cobbler, a survivalist, a soldier,
Right.
or something like that. If I really, really had something to bring to the table, otherwise I would just be like, we're going to discuss what we're going to do, and the things that make the most sense, those are the things we're going to do. Like, I think you immediately have to like kind of band together, because nobody that comes from where we're from is equipped to handle what happened to them. So they're going to have to work together.
Yeah,
So-
I wonder though.
Or
like,
die alone.
Or
Hey.
that. There you go.
If you
Boom.
wanted Ben to like have a career change or whatever, then you could just tell everybody you're a cobbler, I guess, and then try to
Yeah,
make
but
it work.
Yeah, but when you make the
Fake it
first
till
pair
you
of
make
shoes
it.
and they suck, you know,
Yeah.
like you could be
Oh,
like,
that, yeah.
look, guys, you know, I worked in IT or something like that before the island, but I really see
I'm
this as my
useless.
shot at happiness. I'm going to make shoes. They're going to be bad for a while, but if you stick with me, you will have quality footwear.
There.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Christy, what would you do?
I mean, my job is not that interesting, so I have no problem divulging it. Or at least in a survival situation, it's
Yeah.
not going to come in handy at all.
Okay.
And B, you know that I just have very little filter and I can't keep my fucking mouth shut.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be secretive because that's not part of my DNA.
Yeah, I feel like that would be my problem too, is that I would have a hard time keep like not talking and just yapping at everybody about everything. As far as who I was, what kind of skills I bring to the table, although I'm not practicing right now, I am a licensed veterinary technician. So honestly, you kind of would want me on that island, but what would happen is I'd end up Jack because
Especially if you need
Yeah,
to.
I mean, I'd
especially if I
rather
need to
have a
be-
doctor, but you know,
Yeah.
vet tech will do if
Hey,
that's
if I
the
need to
best
be-
you got.
suture you up.
If I need
Yeah.
to be dewormed or
Dewormed,
something.
yes, I
Yeah.
can deworm you.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you learn about mammals and their anatomy and diseases and injuries and things like that. It's not entirely hard to apply them, I think, to humans in a survival sort of situation.
Right.
You know, I would be better than Ben in tech and Christy working with whatever the fuck you do.
Opening envelopes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Derek, what do you think?
They'd be
you
like,
would
hey,
do?
what are we going to do? How are we going to survive? It's like, well, I wrote a document about this. I'd like to review this with everyone. It's going to take 15 minutes.
Let me get your TPS reports ready.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
Derek, what do you
I'd
think
be
you
like-
would do?
I wouldn't tell. I mean, if they asked me, like, yeah, I work in IT, so I'm pretty much useless when it comes to survival. Now I know about survival things. You know, I've watched enough shows, but you know, yeah, we just get together and find out who is good at what.
Okay,
Yeah.
but so you would divulge if you were useful,
Right. You know.
but otherwise, okay, all right.
I mean, I know some random shit, and I'd
Yeah.
be happy to, you know, go, oh no, don't touch that plant, or you
Yeah.
know, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
The first
so
thing I would be like, we're going to figure out the rudiments and then we're cross training one another.
Yeah.
We
That's
don't
a
need
good
one
idea.
fisherman. We need to make sure everyone
Right.
knows how to do
Everyone,
multiple things.
right. Because if
No
one,
single
if you
points of
have,
failure.
right, if you have one and they die,
Yeah.
then you're fucked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And then
I'm
you got a generation of islanders with no shoes. Who wants that?
Right.
All right, guys. Fun question this week. If you could meet anyone in this world today, who would you meet? Derek?
Do they have to be living?
Not necessarily. The question is living. If there is not one living person on this planet that you would like
I
to
don't know.
meet, you can go with dead. Sure.
I don't know. Living. Can't really think of anyone living that I'd like to meet, but I would like
No
to
one.
meet.
Okay.
Yeah, but dead, I'd like to meet. You know, Robin Williams would be interesting to
Oh,
have met.
that's a good
Oh
choice.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good one.
He would have been
Okay.
really good to meet.
Okay. Ben, what are you thinking?
I actually don't know who this person or persons are, but if
What do
I
you
could
mean?
meet one person, I would meet whoever killed JFK, just so I could know.
Just so you
Oh.
could know. Oh, that would be cool. Would you tell me?
Yeah.
He'd write a book and make a movie and make billions.
And, oh, okay. All right, cool.
Whoa,
Because I'm into that too. I don't believe what happened.
the way that, yeah,
Yeah, there's some mystery surrounding
I've been to the
that,
sixth
for
floor
sure.
museum too, because you know what happened in Dallas. I went to the sixth floor
Yeah.
museum. It's really interesting.
yeah.
That's
I
cool.
mean, ballistics, there's some complications there, but generally, heads don't go
Right.
the opposite way from where they were hit. So
yeah,
Physics.
yeah.
physics.
back,
Christy,
Damn,
into the
that's
left.
science.
back into the left.
Christy, who do you want to meet?
So if we're going with, you'll notice a pattern here. If we're going with dead, then
Okay.
I pick Anthony Bourdain. If we're going with alive, I pick Roy Choi.
Two chefs.
Chefs. Yep.
Okay.
I loved
Um,
Anthony Bourdain.
I would want to hang out with either one of them. I would want to cook with Roy Choi for a couple of days. I would want to, cook with Anthony Bourdain and ask him about his travels. And, he just lived such a fucking cool life. Like
Yeah.
Caleb and I used to watch his shows and be like, this man has it made.
Yeah,
you know,
the life.
This is what he gets to do for a living. Evidently there were some other issues in the background.
Yeah,
But
it's interesting that two of you chose people who died by suicide. It's weird. All right, so that leaves me. I also
Well, I'm sorry. I hate that Robin Williams' death was classified as a suicide.
why was it not?
It was, but it was a part of the
Oh.
mental illness that
Oh,
he
I
had.
understand. Yeah, but when you could say the same about Anthony Bourdain. I mean, people that aren't like depressed don't kill themselves. Something was
Right.
going on. So
Okay.
it's right. I mean, it's always going to
Yeah,
be
okay.
inside the brain. It's unfortunate, but I mean, that's like legitimately how they died was by suicide. I mean, it's
Yeah, okay.
unfortunate. Both cases, I think, were tragic. I think
Yeah.
when anybody gets to that point,
I think
it's
Bourdain was in
tragic.
France, wasn't he, when he did it? Like
Yep.
he was
Yeah, that's
recording.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in a hotel, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, gosh, I remember when that happened. That was really
That was
sad.
gutting.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of another gutting event, I also
All right.
the first person I thought of that I wanted to meet was also dead. And if I had ever had the chance to sit down and have a conversation with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, that would be the
Oh.
shit.
Tell her not to die. Please don't die.
Well,
Because a shit
Um,
storm is coming.
yeah, that was a tragic day. But yeah, to just kind of, she's an idol of mine, I guess. And yeah, but since she's not alive and I had to pick somebody, I decided to give in to more carnal desires, and I chose Chris Hemsworth. But then Christy mentioned two chefs, and I mean, honestly, I should have said Gordon
Yeah.
Ramsay. I fucking
Yeah.
I'm still
I
I
was
know.
gonna say
I
Gordon
thought
Ramsay.
that you would say Gordon.
You know what,
Yeah,
living,
he's-
I would say Chuck Norris. I mean, he's kind of gone off the deep
Yeah.
end, but he roundhouse kicks everyone. So
He does. I know, but hasn't he gone kind of?
he has, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
Sucks.
All right. Chuck,
See,
what
most
you
living
doing?
people suck right now.
Truth.
All right. I should have worn my Everything is Terrible t-shirt for this episode. Okay. This is the last week. I can't shout out to any listeners next week. We will have recorded this episode new. It's going to be good to see you guys. There will be a slideshow presentation of all of the photographs of our trip. So get ready. You think I'm kidding? This
He's not
week,
kidding.
tomorrow.
I want to see him.
Season 2, episode 7. It's called The Other 48 Days. It's a Backenders episode, and it's a Derek episode. And next week on Tuesday, June 28th, we'll be back with a new video, fresh from Europe. Well, 2 of us. All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.